The water smells of death. Dust lifts like ash as hooves drum the cracked basin, and silence dies under panic. Willow pressed against Rowan's leg, and Rowan said, "Stay with me." Heat gnaws the horizon until it bleeds. A shadow slinks along the reed fringe, and Rex said, "Hunger has no patience." Wind claws the thorn trees, and the sky withholds mercy. A heron startles, then the herd ripples with fear. Finn barges forward, tusks small but proud, and Finn said, "I drink first." Rowan holds the line with a glare older than Drought. Mud cakes like armor on trembling knees. Willow stares at the last mirror of sky in the puddle. Rex lowers in the grass, ribs counting down the seconds. Somewhere a calf cries, and the sound breaks like thin ice. Slate edges away from the herd's curve, and Slate said, "I will not die for this." The sun flares white and cruel. A flicks. A reed quivers. The world narrows to breath, water, and teeth. The ground shudders with the first charge. The stampede stutters into a tense standstill, as if the earth itself clamps the herd in place. Rowan plants her feet over the last puddle. Willow leans into the hollow of safety. Finn circles like a storm looking for a breach. Rex threads the reeds with a ghost's patience. Slate drifts farther, and the gap he leaves yawns like a wound. The air tastes metallic, a promise of rain that never comes. A hyena laughs beyond the ridge, thin as wire. Rowan said, "Drink in order." Finn said, "Order starves the young." Willow watches the slider of light across the water's skin. The herd shifts, testing the crust of trust. Rex waits for panic to write his invitation. Flies etch worry on tender skin. The land holds its breath again, cruel and amused. The wind shifts and carries the rot of something fallen upstream. Willow flinches, and her small heart drums like trapped rain. Rowan said, "Steady." Finn edges shoulder to shoulder, testing authority with hunger in his eyes. Rex glides to a darker slit of grass, shadow stacked upon shadow. The sun crushes color to bone. An oxpecker lifts, startled by nothing. Slate pauses at the rim of distance, then keeps walking. Willow said, "Is the water ours?" Rowan said, "Only until it isn't." The surface breaks where a crab escapes the mud. Silence reloads. Every throat burns with the same flame. Above, vultures tighten their circle, as if twisting a key. A crack like a whip snaps the crust, and mud yawns open under Willow's forefoot. She lurches, and terror floods the herd in a single breath. Rowan said, "Hold." Finn startles back, pride stumbling. Rex rises, pulled by the scent of fear. Water burps and swallows a greedy mouth. Willow twists free with a wet gasp, shaking droplets like coins. Rowan steps wider over the hole, a living bridge. Finn said, "She slows us all." Willow said, "I can stand." The sky lowers like a lid. Dust skates along the ground as if trying to leave this place. The puddle shrinks while they argue, and the invisible clock laughs. Thunder rolls, far and false, a lullaby from a sky that forgets its children. Rowan said, "One at a time." Finn shoves forward, and Rowan meets him with a hard stare that stops him cold. Willow lowers her trunk, sips metal-tinted water, and coughs. Rex edges to a clearer angle, eyes lit like coals. Slate vanishes over the ridge, leaving emptiness in his shape. The herd breathes in ragged unison. A jackal yips, then silence stitches shut again. Willow said, "Will the rain come?" Rowan said, "We move before night." The light thins to a knife. The last reflections on the puddle tremble, then steady, then tremble again. The air softened as dusk settled, yet danger pressed in every breath. Rowan stood taller, her shadow sprawling across the puddle like a shield. Willow nestled beneath her, eyes wide with trust. Rowan said, "Stay close." Finn shifted restlessly, tusks glinting in the falling light. Rex lingered in the reeds, waiting, hunger anchoring him to silence. The herd edged in, ribs sharp under skin, dust clinging to every fold. A single drop of water slid down Willow's trunk, and she giggled with relief. Rowan said, "Life is thin here, but we still breathe." The words rolled like gravel yet soothed. Beyond the ridge, thunder pulsed without promise. A single bat fluttered out, marking night's arrival. Willow said, "Will you always protect me?" Rowan pressed her tusk into the ground and stayed quiet. Her silence was heavier than any vow. The herd drank in uneven rhythm, each trunk dipping cautiously, each sip a stolen heartbeat. Willow stumbled forward, nearly colliding with Rowan's leg. Rowan steadied her, pushing her back gently. Finn said, "She wastes time." Willow said, "I can drink like you." Her voice trembled with pride and fear. Rowan said, "Strength grows slow." Dust spiraled around their ankles as the herd shuffled, pressing inward. Rex lowered himself deeper, ears flat, gaze fixed. The puddle darkened as mud thickened with their weight. An old bull lifted his head, watching the horizon as if listening for ghosts. The herd murmured through skin and soundless touch, a current of survival binding them. The night deepened, stars piercing like cold fire. Willow leaned against Rowan's side, drowsy yet restless. Her ribs rose like fragile cages, and Rowan brushed dust from her with her trunk. Willow said, "I want to be strong." Rowan said, "Strength comes from surviving, not from wanting." Finn pawed the dirt, frustrated. Rex shifted, pacing the grass as if drawing lines around them. The herd tightened, each flank pressed to another, unity born of fear. An owl cried once, silence swallowing the echo. The waterhole reflected the last embers of day before vanishing into blackness. Willow blinked at the void and whispered, "It looks like the sky fell." The herd stirred at dawn's thin gray light, weary yet alive. Willow lifted her head, trunk coated in dried mud. Rowan nudged her forward. Finn said, "The young slow us." Rowan's eyes held the weight of storms unspoken. Willow pressed on despite trembling knees, determined to walk beside them. Rex prowled the distance, shadow long and patient. A crow landed on a thorn tree, cawing like a warning. Slate had not returned, his absence a hollow wound. Rowan said, "We carry those who cannot walk." The herd shifted around Willow, a wall of protection moving as one. The horizon burned faint orange, promising both hope and cruelty. As the sun climbed, the land shimmered like a blade. Willow dragged her steps, yet her eyes stayed fixed ahead. Rowan slowed her pace, shielding her with shadow. Finn broke formation, circling impatiently. Rex paused in tall grass, gaze unbroken. The herd breathed together, heavy and cracked. Rowan said, "Every step is survival." Willow said, "Then I will take 1,000. Her voice, though faint, struck like thunder. Finn glanced back, teeth grinding, and said, "She will cost us all." Rowan only met his stare, silence stronger than words. Above them, vultures spiraled lower, sensing destiny drawing close. The air thickened with dread as the herd pressed deeper into the barren plain. Cracks in the soil widened like open wounds. Rowan led, her pace steady but slowed by years of weight. Willow stumbled, her trunk dragging lines in the dust. Finn charged ahead, snapping his ears, and said, "We fall behind because of her." Rowan said, "We fall when we forget who we are." Rex stalked their trail, shadows knitting around his ribs. The sun scorched every promise of shade. A jackal slinked near, eyes glimmering opportunistically. Slate's absence burned like betrayal, his silence echoing. Willow whispered, "The land hurts." Rowan touched her gently with her trunk. Thunder loomed in the distance, not storm but hunger rising. Hunger gnawed as the herd halted near brittle brush. Willow reached for dead twigs, her mouth aching with thirst. Rowan said, "Leave it, it will sicken you." Finn shoved forward, scattering the smaller ones. Rowan snapped her tusks against the ground, silencing him. Rex crept closer, amber eyes calculating each step. Willow shivered, pressed tight to Rowan's side. A crow cawed sharply overhead, mocking. Finn growled, "The weak endanger us all." Willow trembled but whispered, "I will not break." Dust coiled between them like smoke. The herd shifted uneasily, fear sharpening into distrust. Somewhere, Slate's absence became a warning more than a wound. The sky split with a sudden shriek of vultures, circling low and impatient. Willow's ears flicked in fear. Rowan lifted her trunk, tasting the air heavy with decay. Finn stamped his feet, sending cracks deeper into the clay. Rex advanced, lean muscles stretching like coiled rope. Willow said, "Why do they follow us?" Rowan said, "They wait for what hunger leaves." The herd groaned in restless unease, pressing closer together. Finn snarled, "Then give them the calf." Silence crushed even the wind. Rowan's eyes burned with warning, her body a wall of history. Willow pressed closer, heart thudding wild and loud, each beat a flare against the silence. The herd shuffled toward the riverbed, but the river was gone, nothing left but cracked bones of mud. Willow sagged, nearly falling. Rowan steadied her, whispering strength without words. Finn roared, "She drags us into death." Rex slithered closer, scenting weakness. A dust storm brewed on the horizon, grinding across the plain with low thunder. Willow's trunk brushed Rowan's leg, whispering, "I can walk." Rowan said, "You will not fall while I stand." Finn paced, restless as fire. The herd's eyes flicked between hunger and loyalty. The dust swallowed the horizon, burying every escape. The world felt cornered by its own cruelty. The dust storm struck, smothering light and sound. The herd huddled, pressed together like stones in flood. Willow coughed, eyes burning. Rowan leaned against her, shielding. Finn bolted forward blindly, crashing into the haze. Rex prowled unseen, his growl carried by the storm. Willow cried, "I cannot see." Rowan said, "Follow my steps." Thunder rolled through the dust, but it was only the storm's hollow voice. The herd swayed, blinded, each step dragging life thinner. Willow clung to Rowan's side, trembling but refusing to stop. The dust swallowed cries, swallowed hope, swallowed even the horizon. Survival became one breath to the next. The storm's veil lifted, leaving the herd coated in dust like statues of ash. Rowan stood firm, though her breath was heavy. Willow blinked grit from her eyes, clinging to her side. Finn stumbled back into view, cuts traced along his flank. Rex crouched at the edge, waiting for collapse. But the silence cracked with a truth none expected. Across the plain, another lioness appeared, gaunt but moving with quiet urgency. Rex froze, his eyes widening, not as predator but as kin. Rowan said, "Even the hunter hungers for survival." Willow whispered, "She looks like him." The herd tensed, caught between fear and revelation. The drought was not theirs alone. The lioness crept closer, ribs showing like a cage of desperation. Willow shifted, trunk trembling, but Rowan did not move. Rex growled low, but the sound wavered. The herd murmured uneasily, unsure if this was danger or mirror. Finn said, "They are many, and we are few." Rowan's gaze held the lioness' hollow eyes. She carried hunger, but also sorrow. Willow whispered, "Does she hunt us?" Rowan said, "She hunts for her own." For the first time, predator and prey stood bound by the same silence. Above them, vultures circled lower, as if sensing both families breaking together. The truth unfurled, cruel and clear. The lioness collapsed, her body trembling as tiny shapes stirred behind her. Cubs, thin as twigs, pressed against her belly. Willow gasped, "She's a mother." Rex stepped forward, his growl dying into silence. Rowan lowered her trunk, not in threat but in recognition. Finn stamped angrily, shouting, "They will grow and kill us all." Rowan said, or they will starve before the rains return. The herd shifted uneasily, torn between mercy and fear. Willow pressed closer, whispering, "She fights like we do." A shared hunger had bridged the abyss. The drought had no sides, only victims. The herd's breath fell heavy, torn between instinct and revelation. Willow moved toward the cubs, small steps breaking fear's grip. Rowan followed, her shadow covering them like a promise. Rex did not strike. Instead, he lowered his head beside the lioness. Finn hissed, "This is madness." Rowan said, "This is truth." The cubs whimpered softly, voices too frail to frighten. The drought was no longer battle lines but a grave shared by all. The wind shifted, carrying the scent of both life and death. Willow whispered, "We are not enemies, only survivors." The moment broke the story they had always known. Night thickened like smoke, yet a fragile truce held. The herd stood restless, but no one moved against the lions. Rowan's silence steadied the fear. Willow pressed against her side, whispering, "Will they live?" Rowan said, "If the land allows." Rex curled near his family, hunger still etched, but softened by purpose. Finn stormed away, muttering, "This mercy will undo us." The stars burned above, cold and endless, as if judging their fragile bond. A truth had surfaced. Predator and prey were threads in the same fraying fabric. The drought was not war, but fate, binding them all under one merciless sky. The truce cracked at dawn when hunger roared louder than silence. Rex rose, mane bristling, his ribs shivering with need. The lioness stayed low, her cubs pressed tight against her belly. Finn surged forward, ears flared, and said, "This ends now." Rowan blocked his path, tusks gleaming with defiance. Willow trembled behind her, whispering, "Please don't fight." Dust coiled with every stomp as the herd shuffled in panic. Rex growled, a low thunder rolling across the dry plain. The lioness lifted her head, her eyes pleading without sound. Rowan said, "To strike them is to strike ourselves." Finn bellowed, "Mercy starves us." The air quaked, brittle as glass, ready to shatter in blood. The first charge shattered stillness. Finn lunged, tusks slashing air, dust exploding beneath his weight. Rex leapt forward, teeth bared, a storm of muscle and bone. Rowan slammed her body between them, the impact cracking like thunder. Willow cried, "Stop!" Her small voice cut the chaos, trembling yet fierce. The herd shrieked, trunks raised in terror. The lioness roared, forcing her cubs beneath her with trembling paws. Rex clawed the earth, snarling, while Finn rammed again. Rowan's strength groaned under the weight of two worlds colliding. She said, "This fight buries us all." But fury drowned reason, as the plain echoed with war. The clash tore ground apart. Rex lunged at Finn's leg, claws raking deep, while Finn trumpeted in fury. Rowan shoved them both back, her tusks carving dust. Willow stumbled forward, her trunk lifted, eyes wet with fear. She cried, "You must not." Her small cry struck louder than violence itself. Rex paused, panting, his eyes flicking to his cubs. Finn staggered, rage clouding his sight. Rowan said, "If you kill us all." Willow pressed her body against Rowan's leg, trembling but unbroken. For a heartbeat, silence crept in through their rage. But blood streaked the dust and the world held its breath. The plain erupted once more. Finn lunged again, but this time Rowan met him full force, tusks clashing like swords. Dust blinded the air, and the herd screamed, scattering in panic. Rex circled, torn between battle and bloodline. Willow collapsed, choking on grit, her small body trembling. Rowan braced, her strength bleeding into the ground, her eyes blazing with fury. Finn shouted, "Only the strong endure." Rowan answered, "Strength is nothing without those we guard." The lioness roared, pulling her cubs back, her voice cracking the storm of violence. Every heartbeat became war, each breath survival's price. The climax struck with silence before the storm's roar. Finn lunged once more, but Rowan caught him, tusks locking his path. Rex sprang, but his leap faltered, his eyes flicking toward his cubs. Willow screamed, "Enough!" Her cry pierced through bone and dust, stilling even the wind. The herd froze, watching the battle grind into breathless stillness. Rowan's strength forced Finn back, her tusks etched in dust and blood. Rex lowered his head, chest heaving with surrender. The lioness lay still, cubs pressed close, their eyes wide with fear and need. Rowan whispered, "We all endure, or none endure." The plain fell quiet, broken only by trembling breath. The plain lay heavy with silence, broken only by the ragged breaths of survivors. Rowan stood bloodied but unbroken, her shadow falling across Willow. Finn staggered, tusks chipped, his rage cooled into exhaustion. Rex collapsed near his cubs, chest heaving as if each breath was his last. The lioness licked the dust from her children, her body trembling with weakness. Willow whispered, "We are still here." Rowan said, "The storm has passed, but the drought remains." The herd gathered again, their unity bruised but intact. Above them, the sky deepened into copper, refusing rain yet offering stillness. Survival was not victory, it was the privilege of enduring one more day. The herd drifted forward toward emptiness, each step dragging weight of wounds and hunger. Rowan led, her tusks low, her frame carrying silence like armor. Willow walked close, her trunk brushing Rowan's leg for strength. Finn trailed, pride carved down to quiet resentment. Rex remained behind, his gaze fixed on the cubs, his duty heavier than hunger. The lioness pressed her frail body close to theirs, refusing to falter. Willow said, "We move together." Rowan nodded, her silence enough. The wind carried faint thunder, but the sky held its tears. The land was unchanged, but they were not. Night folded over the savannah, stars cutting sharp across a black sky. The herd gathered close, pressing warmth into their trembling flanks. Rowan stood watch, her eyes glowing in moonlight. Willow curled beneath her, small body rising in shallow rhythm. Finn lingered apart, ears twitching at unseen sounds. Rex lay beside his cubs, growls softened into lullabies. The lioness shifted weakly but did not rise. Her strength poured into keeping her children alive. Willow whispered, "The stars are holes for water to fall." Rowan said, "Then let us wait for the sky to remember us." Silence stretched, vast and eternal, as hope flickered faint but unbroken. Dawn crept with pale light, painting the plain in fragile gold. Rowan nudged Willow awake, her voice soft yet steady. Willow stretched, eyes rimmed with fatigue, but still burning with resolve. Finn kicked dust, impatient but too weary to fight. Rex rose slowly, mane crusted with grit, his cubs clinging as they stirred. The lioness tried to stand, her legs shaking before she steadied. Rowan said, "The day is long, but we walk." Willow whispered, "And we breathe." The herd stirred, a broken choir of survivors. Their march was not triumph but testament. Every step carried the echo of those who had fallen. The herd and lions parted at the ridge where land split into shadow and light. Rowan paused, staring across the cracked horizon, her tusks gleaming faintly in the sun. Willow pressed close, unwilling to release her protection. Rex stopped, his cubs clambering weakly at his side. The lioness lifted her head, eyes meeting Rowan's in solemn respect. Finn muttered, "This cannot last." Rowan said, "Yet it has, and so it must." Willow whispered, "Goodbye." Rex turned away, his family dissolving into the reeds. The herd continued forward, bound by wounds, mercy, and fragile hope. The land remained merciless, but so did they. Dawn found the herd at the ridge, where shadow broke into gold. Rowan waited, listening to the earth for any whisper of water. Willow stepped beside her, small but steady. Finn scowled at the horizon, tired of empty promises. A distant cry drifted from the reeds, thin and defiant. Rex answered once, a low rumble fading into wind. Willow said, "Do we turn back?" Rowan said. "We moo." The land did not soften, yet something in their breathing did. Every scar felt like a map, and every step read its lines. They carried yesterday's battle as a guide, not a chain. The plain opened like a book of wounds, yet the herd read it without fear. Rowan set a slower rhythm, saving strength for the unknown. Willow matched it, breath shallow but even. Finn muttered, "Hope feeds on lies." Rowan said, "Hope feeds on steps." A vulture coasted low, then climbed, denied of prophecy. Wind combed the grass and left nothing but whisper. Far behind, the reeds swallowed the last lion track. Willow glanced back, then forward, choosing forward. Their silence felt earned, like water from stone. Heat rose, but a scent changed the air, faint and green. Rowan lifted her trunk, and the herd paused as if held by a spell. Willow whispered, "Is it rain?" Finn snorted, "Or memory." The breeze shifted again, carrying wet stone and leaves. Rowan said, "North." They turned as one, boots of thunder in slow parade. Each step pushed doubt behind them like shed skin. Willow stumbled, then caught the rhythm. The smell grew bolder, a promise that felt like truth. The dry creek bent into a shallow bend of shadow. In the shade, a seam of damp soil darkened the clay. Rowan pressed her foot, and moisture bled upward. Willow gasped, joy breaking her fatigue. Finn knelt, trunk searching, pride forgotten. Rowan said, "Dig wine." They worked in rough grace, carving a bowl from the earth. Mud slicked their skin like blessing. Water pooled, small and stubborn, reflecting a sliver of sky. Their thirst eased, not ended, but hope drank first. Evening lowered, and the mud bowl mirrored a young moon. Willow drank, then lifted her face beaded with silver drops. Rowan watched the horizon, where storms walked like giants. Finn stood beside her, quiet for once. From far away, a distant roar answered the night, neither threat nor plea. Willow said, "Will it be enough?" Rowan said, "Tonight, it is." The wind turned cool and carried the scent of rain. The herd closed ranks in gentle silence. The earth kept its law, and they kept their breath.